You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Okay, we're rolling.
Hello and welcome to the 87th and a half episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim Hayes in beautiful and snowy Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hey, this is Matt Allen, also in beautiful, snowy Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Wow. Guys, I'm Spencer Howe. I'm still in Boston, where it is not snowy, and it's been, 65 and El Nino-y here. Is that a word?
I did wake up this morning at my parents' house, and there is 2.5 inches of snow on the ground. And I woke up actually because the fat bike signal had been raised over the Twin Cities.
Aha.
Lots of Twitter posts about trail conditions.
Oh, yeah.
And it was at that moment that I decided it was time I need to return to Florida.
Yeah, that's true. Spencer probably needs to come back here because he just bought a fat bike.
Spencer now has a fat bike. It's a little strange.
Yeah.
And I went to a store the other day, talked to a friend of the podcast, Jake Helmbrick, who told me that they sell roughly something like over 400 fat bikes a year. Like something like ridiculous that I was
That's a lot.
It might even be more than 400. I mean, I don't really listen when I ask questions like that, but I'm just kidding. I think maybe he said it was over 500.
I think what you meant when you meant is when you ask questions, you don't really listen. But
yeah.
No.
So, it was fat bikes are the rage here. Sarah and I were driving around St. Paul, looking at some of the cool mid-century modern houses, and we saw 10 bikes on this past Saturday. Of those 10 bikes, 7 were fat bikes.
Wait, did you get the new Larry Millett book and then just go out and drive around and look at the houses on the Larry Millett list?
No.
Okay. All right. That
So-
was pretty nerdy.
So fat bikes.
Wait, did you have the AIA guide?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
Did you guys rent fat bikes and do that tour on fat bikes?
No, I wish we had, though. That would be fun.
So do you think so fat bikes are definitely here to stay.
Yep.
And little guy, when we were recording our last podcast and never made it to air, our interactive episode.
Episode 87, the most interactive episode ever recorded.
For the listeners.
Before the podcast Krampus got it.
Yeah.
Basically, they just our 2 tracks recorded, and so the listener could play as Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do the we talk, and then the listener could be like, "Brr, I hate fat bikes," and then like 10 seconds later, be like, "Hey guys, I got a fat bike."
Yeah, that's a very special episode. If anyone sends us $100, you can maybe get a copy of that episode.
Yeah. Well,
that's how that works.
Guys, I realized there was a gap in my stable. I realized there was an opportunity at Nationals for a Masters National Championship jersey in my closet, and I realized that Surly put their bikes on super sale. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger after 120 inches of snow in Boston last year. I figured it was a good investment.
I will say, if I lived in the snow, I would definitely probably get a fat bike, right? Like, I'm not going to, I would make fun of myself every time I rode it, but they are fun to ride. What's crazy is the amount of bike shops around around Minnesota that I went to over the last few days that had sold something like 40 or 50 of these Surly fat bikes from the mega sale that they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's a lot of fat bikes out there now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's really pumped today. I bet a lot of fat bikes were given for Christmas yesterday. It's recorded this on the 26th.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of happy people.
On my way over to the recording studio here today, I was driving down Lake Street, and I saw a guy in a full white skin suit, but like almost leotard, like full leggings and long sleeve, like maybe a cross-country ski suit, I don't know, or a speed skating outfit, I don't know what it was, on a fat bike with ski goggles. Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
See,
in white. Like,
people
white
here
is
in
a
Boston,
ballsy color. White is a ballsy color to wear in the winter because of all that salt.
It's pretty sloppy today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People in Boston don't believe me when I explain to them what fat bike culture is like in Minneapolis and where we're at now with the amount of fat bikes you see is like 10 years ago Minneapolis,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what's coming, but it's coming here to Boston. Like, people are racing them on the mountain bikes. People are starting to ride them all year, but we're not seeing every other person commuting on them yet. You know what I mean? But it's coming.
That was the fat bike realization definitely hit on this trip. The other realization that hit me, guys, is that I'm about to pull my USA cycling license, and for the first time in 11 years, I don't have a team to be attached to.
So, I mean, you're shopping around?
Yeah, so I created a race resume. I've sent it out to a variety of bike shops and teams. And what's really great about my resume this year is that I'm actually a two-pronged athlete, because now I have the ability to be an elite amateur category 3, and then also a Masters 35-plus juggernaut. So I'm anticipating a lot of offers from bike shops. So if you own a bike shop out there or another team and you need someone that can drive business to your shop based off of results, personality, and just like know-how, then you should totally contact me.
If you own a bike shop and your Twitter account is looking to receive more hate mail than it ever has before,
yeah, we got the guy for you.
We got the guy for you.
I mean, I'm a quality athlete. I did 6 USA cycling races last year.
Oh, right there.
Right there. That's like, I'm pretty sure that's cost plus 10 on a bike.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of exposure.
I think if I did like another 2 or 3 races, then I should be able to demand free labor on a bike.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, because I'm not going to buy anything at the bike shop anyway. I'm just going to buy it on Wiggle.
And if you go over 12 builds, then they should like build you a custom pair of wheels or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
Yeah.
Well, that free labor is obviously, it's going to come the night before a big race. Like, you're not going to drop it off and pick it up a week later. Like, you need that done first priority.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they know that an athlete of my caliber will be able to produce results, but only if the bike is worked on at the last minute. So if the race is on Saturday, you better block off, like, shop. If you want this service, you got to block off time at 5 p.m.
Yeah, those Friday afternoons are team-only labor time, team-only workshop time, yeah.
Yeah, I only want a shop that will give me that team-only workout time.
Yeah, because you basically just sleep, eat a teeny bit, not much, maybe 2 meals a day, and then sell things on eBay. That's your whole life, right?
Yeah, and then drive a school bus.
Drive a school bus. And you ride in there, too. Just intervals, though, right?
I just put
no base miles anymore because you're 35 plus.
Yeah, I just put only like 2-hour rides.
Yeah,
of just pure intervals.
Carmichael system.
I've been having I use a couple of other techniques to become fast in the Masters categories as well.
Yeah, let's just call them techniques.
Anyways, guys, if you need a rider, that came to this realization. I called up Keith Richards the other day, or texted him. I said, "Hey, are we going to pull out the old Swift Racing Club on USA Cycling again?" And he's like, "No, because I'm just pulling an Obra license next year because he's moving to Oregon." And I was like, forgot about Obra.
So you have a pickle. You got to find a team, and you've already announced yourself as a taker from now on. So any team out there is going to know that you're not willing to put in any effort as far as promoting races or doing anything else. So
I give you a half year.
I won't be volunteering. If you put on an event, great. The only thing I'll be volunteering is whatever the bare minimum it is to get the discount.
Right, and free entry. Obviously, you should show up for that.
I'm only showing up. I'm only going to clubs that put on races, so then I can get free entry. Yeah. And I'm going to say that, like, hey, I can corner marshal, but then be like, oh, I got to take my kids to the zoo.
Right.
Little they know. You don't have kids or a zoo.
Exactly. So.
All right.
Well,
Spencer, what do you think? I give him 6 months before he's created his own team, and recruited an entire assortment of riders, and he's leading group rides. And I give it 9 months before he starts talking about a mountain bike series for the next year.
Oh, 9 months. The series will be on already. You'll be 3 weeks into the series. It'll be the mountain bike series, and you'll already be talking about the next spring's training crit series.
So you guys don't think I have what it takes to not be a taker?
I think you're gonna have. I think you'd have to work harder at not starting a club / promoting races than I would work if I was doing one of those things.
Yeah.
You're gonna be just tapping your foot and being like, oh god, I just gotta. Sarah, I gotta go out for a minute, Sarah. She'd be like, where are you going? You're like, I'm not going anywhere to start a club.
It's going to be one of those weird things that I could, in all seriousness, be the worst type of teammate to actually be on a team because I'm going to try not to do anything, but in the back of my mind, I'm going to be going like, I could do it so much better than that guy. Like this is so messed
Terrible.
up.
I think you wouldn't be alone as that type of teammate, though. That's the problem.
Okay, all right, cool.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in not doing anything for cycling in the next
So if
year.
anybody has a team that they want me to join, just hit us up on our Twitter account at the Slow Ride Pod, and I'll weigh the offer.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll wait for those to come flowing in. Guys,
So-
what else do we have to talk about besides Tim's team search?
You guys want to talk about the ASO UCI?
Yep, so we do have a lot to talk about. We have
SPAT.
We have ASO, UCI, SPAT. We have to talk about cyclocross. There's some new kits that have been revealed from the UCI, and I'm sure there'll be quite a few other things.
Well,
but-
wait, let's talk about the kit thing, because I want to say we're a couple days away from the weird changeover.
Oh, God, yeah.
The moment in cyclocross that makes no sense when one day everyone's on one team and the next day you tune into the first race of the year.
It's the Sven Day.
And you can't tell where your favorite Czechoslovakian rider is anymore. You're looking down the list, you're like, it says he's on the start list, but I don't know what team he's on.
It's the Sven Day. It's when Sven switched last year to Trek Factory Racing. And
So is he going to be in a Fidea kit
no.
on first, or is he booked up through? Because he owns Fidea as of January 1st. Will he be riding for Fidea? I don't actually know what the situation is.
So, yeah, I think the problem that we have this year is we didn't get one of those magic times where the race on the 31st on Saturday and the 1st on Sunday. So we don't get to see it like the very next day.
God, I love that.
It's
so
amazing.
weird. It's
But,
so bizarre.
Yeah.
Does that happen in any... There's no other
2013
sport.
when Sven won on the Colnago on Saturday and on the track
Why
on
would
Sunday.
they write the contracts to be through February 16th?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like nowhere in the world can wrap their minds around a contract that doesn't go from January 1st to January 1st.
Right.
I
I think they're looking into separate cross contracts, but I don't think anything has happened yet.
So let's go on the cross. We don't need to go too much into it, but I mean it is the holiest of holy days, holy weeks coming.
Boxing Day
with cyclocross all over the world. We had Namur last week, and the world champion takes the win in great fashion, out sprinting Wout van Aert on the very final straightaway. So
You're excited?
Very excited. Kevin Pauls with a solid third place, and then today in Zolder we had the world champion Matthew van der Poel taking a solid win by about 3 seconds over Kevin Pauls, and then Lars van der Haar in third. Now we know Lars van der Haar crashed in Namur, and he was a little disappointed after taking he was in the lead for a little while there and crashed. So van der Haar is actually looking pretty good this time of year. I don't think we can discount him.
Where'd Wout go?
Wout van Aert got 8th place today. He said he had a little bit of a sickness. What's crazy is he was happy with it. That was his lowest place on the season.
God, that's insane. That's so crazy.
The Americans at Namur, Stephen Hyde was the highest placed American, I believe, at 20.
Incorrect. What happened is Stephen Hyde actually had a great first lap.
Oh, he had
2
a
laps.
flat.
He was in the second group on the road, sitting around in the 8th to 13th group.
Are you talking about last week or this week?
No,
Sorry.
this week. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was talking last week.
Yeah, last week he was top place American. This week, in the front group, flatted out of it on lap 2. He and Jeremy battled it out for top American. Jeremy actually finished 16th this week. So, hey, slow ride shout out there, 16th place. And Stephen Hyde rolled in shortly thereafter.
And Katie Compton got second place today.
Yep.
Sanaya Kant won both World Cup rounds, I believe. So, or did Nikki Harris win last week?
Nikki Harris last week.
Up there.
Yeah, thank you. So, anyways, good racing all the way around. But the question we got from Kevin Dolan on the email was, with Jeremy Powers 16th place today, who's the favorite heading into Asheville World National Championships in 2 weeks' time? I would have to say that J-Pow on a dry course has to be the favorite going in.
Yeah, but is it going to be dry? I don't think it's going to be dry.
I still think J-Pow has to be the favorite just from experience.
Yeah.
And he's got the Stars and Stripes on right now.
I mean, I think he won. I think this is Hyde's year. I feel like.
And will Logan Owen be able to battle onto the podium?
Maybe. How's he? So last time I saw Logan Owen was in Jingle Cross when he was on the ground and I went past him. What's up?
Did you
Did
say
he
like,
get hurt?
Smooches?
No, I was like, chose you to go so damn fast. You could have got killed, kid. You're just trying to ride around here and not get hurt. Come on. Yeah, it was just the old man at the back of the race. So I don't know how he fell. All I know is by the time I got there, which was like a minute into the race, he didn't look happy. So is he okay? Do you guys know?
I mean, he's been racing these World Cups. I thought in the
Okay.
U23.
So he's
looks like
okay.
doing all right.
He just didn't want to get up.
So he's not
Jake
racing U23 at nationals.
No,
I
I
think
bet
he's
he's going to
racing
go
elites.
elite and crush it.
Okay.
He could be up there.
He could be.
He was flying out the gates those couple days at Jingle Cross.
Yeah.
So World Cup fever is going on.
Wait.
Well, so
what
I
about
th-
the French guy?
Well, I think Hyde will win, you guys.
Okay. You think so?
Did
Yeah.
we ask?
No, you didn't ask. Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spencer.
And-
It's so hard.
and-
We're in the same room. Tim's right here. And where are you? You're like in Boston? Where's
and
that?
if-
Boston?
I just saw the fat bike in
And-
the back. I didn't think that he was in the cyclocross anymore.
If it's
Wait,
muddy,
I
actually
see. Like,
oh,
you think if it's muddy? You think if it's muddy? I can't hear you.
Paige might actually do okay.
Yeah, he could.
I mean,
I think you're right.
he did good
Paige
at
in
Jingle
the mud.
Cross. Yeah.
Is he doing the Masters category?
Oh, come on, Timmy. That's mean. No, he's not doing the Masters category.
Has he been racing at all this year?
Yeah, he won the first day at Jingle Cross.
Does that day count?
Yeah, it does count.
Jesus Christ.
It's a C2.
Oh, it is? Seriously?
Yeah, it's a C2.
Okay.
It's a C2, a C1, and then a C2.
Oh, okay.
It's a fat bike C2 though.
Yeah, it was a fat bike C2.
So-
I was slightly disadvantaged because I don't have a fat
So you
bike.
think, Spencer, if it gets muddy, you think Paige has a good chance?
Yeah, I think he's always got a chance. He's always going to be in that top 5 hunt, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think if it's
Trayvon?
muddy, that goes way up. Trayvon's, he's kind of a dark horse, man. He's been so hit or miss. Like if he's healthy and going well, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. If he's not,
I want to
healthy,
see. Has he ever been a national champion when Twitter's been around?
I don't think so, actually.
Because so I'm all for the Ryan Trebon national championship reign with Twitter.
What do you think?
That would be pretty amazing.
Do you think that's the reason? Maybe pre-Twitter, he put in just that little bit more training, and now he's like stopping mid-ride, maybe putting out a snarky tweet or like taking a picture of his dog, and now he's literally missing like at the end of the year, it's like 27 minutes of training.
Yeah.
So cyclocross season almost done. Let's move on to jerseys, real quick.
On the road jerseys?
Yeah, Dimension Data jersey.
Yeah.
Woof.
The most boring,
I haven't seen
lame
it.
jersey.
I haven't seen it actually.
All right, Spencer, let's describe the Dimension Data jersey to this little guy.
Okay, so you remember how cool the MTN Quebeca jersey is with the it's ridiculous, but it stood out, right?
It looked like a soccer ref had jumped on a bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you kept the arms, like the shoulder area, the same, like black sleeves with the white Cervelo logo, and then you took everything else off, just cleared it, just erased it with a pencil, so it was like a clean blank white slate. That's the new jersey.
That sounds kind of boring.
Or the way I like to describe it,
Oh yeah.
it looks like a panda.
More like a panda than the old Cervelo kit?
Oh, look at that! I mean,
That's
that
cool.
is
Tim
just-
did just pull it up for me.
it is as
Did he pull up a panda
what?
as well to put it?
Well, so do you guys think that large belly space is because they're going to get sponsored by some sort of belly company? Like a belly ring or something? Or like
I don't know.
like
if
they're like they
There
this
is a
isn't the
lack of-
90s anymore, little guy. I
there
don't
is
think
a
the
lack
belly
of
ring business
geometric-
is booming.
geometric shapes that could fill that space.
there's a triangle already on their jersey. The Dimension
So-
Data has got a good triangle logo with like a
looks like a windmill or something. And the sad thing is that
you know what it looks like? You guys remember the Wonder Years episode where the gym teacher drew the female reproductive system on the chalkboard, and it just looked like he drew like a bad cow, like he drew like a cow's head.
wow.
That's what that looks like.
Yeah,
So,
I don't remember any Wonder Years. Sorry, little
So
guy.
the
You guys didn't watch the Wonder Years?
so the next kit that we need to talk about that was released, and of course these were all released accidentally by the UCI on their website, is the new AG2R La Mondiale,
which I really
kit.
like.
yeah,
I mean,
looks
this-
fine to me.
Every single year,
Knock
this
it out of the
kit
park.
gets better and better. And we used to make fun of the brown short squad.
Because it was great.
And now it has to be in the top 5 of kits in the professional Peloton.
Oh, yeah.
This year with that new kind of aqua blue shoulder to counteract the brown, it's amazing. I wish that these were my wedding colors. Oh, wait, they were.
They've done the thing that all...
Spencer wouldn't know that they were my wedding colors.
I'm pretty sure yours was brown and pink.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe they were brown and pink. I hope Sarah's not listening.
I'd say AT has done what another great team with FDJ always does, is just subtle changes. Like they've got a template, they stick to it, they've got their look. They're not going to like reinvent it every year. They just change it a little bit to keep it fresh, but they know they've got the best, like one of the best kits. Just like FDJ, it's like always awesome. Maybe they add a little white, a little more red, but there's no messing with it.
Mm-hmm. That's a very great point, little guy. Once again, that AG2R continues with the consistency, and the longest running team in the UCI Pro Tour.
Is FDJ?
No, is Lamprey. With once again continues the same template of they're making it. They've almost come full circle now twice, in that it was stylish to be bright and ugly in the 90s, and then it went way out of favor, and they still kept with it, and then it came back into fashion for like 2 years here and I feel that it's on its way out again. Like people are like, oh, okay, that's enough bright colors. Like let's go back to.
But it's their look. Yeah, it's their look.
So if you need sheet metal, that's the team to get, and they look good. So and then the final accidental release is the new Cannondale team. Now this kit obviously does not have Garmin on it. So did that mean Garmin dropped sponsorship from that team?
Possibly.
Looks like it.
And but it is continuing the Argyle look that we have gotten now. So, anyways, new kits starting to be revealed. We've talked about the Movistar. We've talked about the new Sky kit.
Did either of you guys see the Wanty kit?
No.
I forgot that team even existed.
It's really nice in a classic Belgian kind of way. A lot of logos. Kind of put on there. It's just classy. Also, man, their website is pretty sweet. Their kit is like, it's like a star beamed it to Earth or something. It's like light glowing behind it. And there's literally a star, Spencer.
Hey, this is Mo Bruno Roy, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
The big episode that the interactive episode, we spent a lot of time, but we do need to mention is that the ASO is pulling all of its races, which is like a third of the calendar, out of the UCI Pro Tour, and basically extending a giant middle finger to the UCI, saying, hey, we run these races, you can't tell us what teams are involved, and now they're going to no longer need to invite certain teams. And I could not be happier about this. Really? I think that this is good for cycling because they are the owners of the race.
It's terrible. You're terrible. Terrible capitalist. It's terrible.
I mean,
it's going to throw everything into total turmoil this year.
Yeah.
Do we need to explain it anymore before you guys tell me how wrong you are?
Well, okay, so one, it means that the ASO doesn't have to invite all the Pro Tour teams.
And ASO is the owner of the Tour de France.
Yeah, and Paris-Nice and a million other things. Yeah. Paris-Roubaix. It means that if they drop down a category to what, HC or whatever the category would be, they only have to invite 14 Pro Tour teams, and that gives them many more discretionary picks.
Which they would pick the best teams possible for those spots.
But I'm
talking United Healthcare. I'm talking Team Novo Nordisk.
Okay.
Those teams
I'm talking
are
about
not the best teams possible.
Wanty. I'm talking about Triple C Pulsat with David Rebulin.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They won't. I bet they're gonna drop down and they're gonna basically invite the same teams because there's really no.
Yeah. That's why I don't think this is that big a deal.
The only team they're not going to invite to any of their events aside from
Stana,
the Tour de France is Movistar. Movistar is just not going to go to Paris-Roubaix or Fletch or whatever else races they own.
But Movistar's gonna want to go to those. A lot of those, like at least Fletch and stuff, the Ardennes class, because like they want that exposure. I feel like this. What it really does is it hurts sponsors. Sponsors buy into the Pro Tour. Right. Because they know they can get a certain amount of sponsor value out of it. They know they get the Tour. They know they get Paris-Nice. They know they get like some of the highest coverage races.
Yep.
not having that guarantee. So even if you probably are going to go, not having that guarantee is going to make teams sweat all year.
Wow.
And yeah, maybe we can say that will raise the level, but there should be an actual, like what the Pro Tour has tried to do before with like the relegations. There should be a sporting criteria for that, because we end up with the same crap as last year, where like the Giro wants to invite the CCC team, but they don't want to invite them if they bring certain riders, which is bullshit.
But isn't the whole point of this, to allow the teams to almost dictate what races they go to as well? Because look, Europe Car did not want to go do
just like
Giro.
Like being poor is
FDJ,
to allow you to decide when and where you want to work.
Yeah, like FDJ. I mean, look at the positives here. FDJ doesn't want to go do the Giro, so now they're not going to, well, I guess if they want to be Pro Tour, they have to at this point. Whereas, shouldn't it be like, hey, man, I can still get an invite to the Tour de France and some of these awesome races as well, so why would I want to be Pro Tour? And now they're letting their decision help out all the other teams.
Because if FDJ and AG2R are French, they can make that decision to be continental, and they could still get a Tour invite. What it does is it just means that we're going to have a bunch of crappy French teams, more crappy French teams in the Tour, which is always kind of funny, but it also really sucks.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't, like, truthfully, we all hate Astana, but if Astana doesn't go to the Tour and instead we get, like, Big Matt Auber 47, 98, 63, whatever the hell they're called today, like, that's going to suck. You want a Rue there, or do you want, like,
no, I disagree.
Some guy who's, like, maybe just got upgraded to Cat 1?
I disagree. But, Spencer, how do you feel on this?
Is this because you think you're going to get an invite now that you're an Elite Cat 335
Yeah, I'm shopping the resume.
You think your team might have a chance?
Here's the thing is, like, how...
So...
And Spencer... Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me just say, the ASO is completely out of line here. I know that they're protecting their profits and they're trying to keep their baby, their cash cow, full and fat. But it doesn't do anything good for the sport. Like, we need guarantees for the sponsors. We need guarantees. We need to get TV rights going. We need all that stuff that Velon's trying to do. Makes a ton of sense. And what's hilarious is if you
name drop.
If you saw the UCI response earlier this week to this was saying, if the Tour wants to go to this level and all the ASO races want to go to this level, there are actually limitations. Like, they'd have to shorten the route of Paris-Roubaix, and they'd have to shorten some of the stages on the Tour because they can't be over a certain length at that level.
Which I think...
Hey, knock.
I think Cookson was technically wrong about the part of that, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Hey, this is a bluff.
So it screws up the quality of the race on the team strength front and on the course front. So what I actually think is that it gives other races an opportunity to become classics. Like, we can get rid of, we've watched this race 100 times now. We can maybe invent a new classic.
Wait, what race should they get rid of?
Yeah, that's the appeal of the sport, in my opinion, is that there is history to these races. I think, I'm more heartbroken that there are races that have gone away, like classics that were around for 50, 60 years that are gone at this point.
So put it this way, like Paris-Nice and Torino Adriatico overlap.
Which is the best thing. But
that's
great. It's terrible for the sponsors and whatever. But I don't give a shit. That's the best part of cycling.
Right. So if Paris-Nice becomes a Cat 1 French team race, do you care about it anymore? Or are you going to watch Torino Adriatico, which has all the awesome teams?
I'm going to watch Paris-Nice.
Why? Tell me one feature of Paris-Nice that you like.
I like that it's a race to the sun.
No, give me something. Nice. Give me something
detailed.
That's what
Phil Liggett tells me.
Let's think about this.
Give me anything.
So a couple of years ago, when Paris-Nice had a really weak course, and nobody, like, everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to kind of suck," and all the best GC riders went to Torino. What did we get? We got a chubby gummy bear kicking ass at Paris-Nice.
Oh, the gummy bear, Betancourt. So, okay, Spencer, to rebuttal, here's I guess the fundamental problem I have with all of this is, who does the UCI think they are?
The governing body of the sport.
Yeah, but the ASO doesn't need
answering
them.
To the
here's
Olympic.
The thing: is that why don't they just pull like an Obra and just do their own thing, right? Because fundamentally, we're talking about the same thing as like an Obra situation here. If they wanted,
ASO is
the
trying to be a
ASO
new Obra.
owns the race. Like no one else can possibly pull together a Tour de France of any similar magnitude than the ASO.
Except for
Well,
the
that could be true, but
RCS.
but here's the thing.
The
Maybe
Giro.
we could do it.
But-
RCS could not. They could do the Giro, sure, but then the only way to make the Tour de France like stumble at all, because that's what the guy walking down the sidewalk right now is going to know. Like, he's not going to know the Giro. The only way that the UCI has any power is to actually create a civil war within the sport and get the Giro to go on in July.
Yes.
Like, that's the only
Okay.
other event that could possibly happen, right?
Because
Which
a world
RCS is
tour-
probably on board
Yeah,
for. They're
a
probably
world
like, yeah,
tour
let's do
race-
it. Like, we want to challenge.
Like, that's the only thing that could possibly call the bluff of the ASO on
A
this.
World Tour race calendar should be able to bump anything on a lower calendar. You know what I mean? So they should just say, "Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. You guys are in May now, and July is now the Giro."
Here's how I see this whole thing playing out. Is
That
that,
would
the
be amazing.
ASO is still getting their races licensed by the French Cycling Federation, or they did this years ago. Remember when they took
Yeah.
it off and they went to the regional calendar or whatever?
Yeah.
At some point, you would have to expect the IOC, the Olympic Committee, would have to step in and then pull the old, if you do this race, you're not eligible for the Olympics or the World Championships
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
So
Kind of
that's
like
the-
a USA Cycling Pro doing a unsanctioned mountain bike race, like we had
or
that drama
or-
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
or when Tyler Hamilton was serving his suspension, was showing
Right.
up to Boulder training races.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that at some point, that's what it's going to take. And it's going to take one of these guys to toe the line and play a game of chicken and see who comes off. Because I understand, I respect the ASO's position. I respect the UCI's position. Personally, I think the ASO is being a little too ham-fisted here, but I do feel that they should have the right to invite the correct teams. My solution would be, let's reduce the amount of Pro Tour licenses. Let's get it down to just like 13 or 14
Well,
teams.
I think that's a fine thing, and I think what they've talked about with having relegations from the Pro Tour has some merit. Of like teams from the second division can move up, but there's still the problem with that though is that we haven't had all the Pro Tour teams filled out in the last few years. Like,
So there's too many. There's already too many spots,
Like, it's
and that's where I
already
think
not
there
enough.
needs to be competition to get those spots. Or at the minimum, is sporting criteria actually needs to be enforced.
Yeah.
We had this whole thing with Astana. Like, I bet if Astana was bounced,
yeah,
the way that many people thought they would, the ASO would probably be a little bit more open to this, because the ASO does not want a doping scandal at their events. That's like
Right.
one of their.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at how they act when a French guy gets busted. Oh my God! It's like they bring out the entire army to arrest the guy at the hotel. But it's I feel they have standing in this a lot. They are definitely taking their ball and going home.
yeah.
But I feel that they can act that way.
But it's not going to do. I mean, yeah, maybe. But I mean, in the long run, it's not going to do anything for the sport.
It doesn't matter about
they
the
need to
Well,
do it.
I know it doesn't
within
matter to them, but it's
the
just
system.
going to. If ASO they just have too much power. Like, at some point, something has to be done to diversify ownership in the sport. Because when ASO or anybody else has too much power over the larger calendar, it hurts everybody else.
So, as a caveat, or as a segue to that, right? The big news was that Tinkoff is getting out of the sport. Oleg
Yeah.
Tinkoff, the owner of Tinkoff, what was Tinkoff Saxo Bank.
Yeah.
And, Vaughters had a really, interview about this where he talks about that Tinkoff basically wrote his own, obituary to this sport, where he's the one that's fueling the raise in wages, and about how a normal worker on the team is making the same salary that Vaughters did 15 years ago, but the mega stars of the sport are making $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
And he's talking about all of this, and Tinkoff didn't do anything. And then it doubles down into this idea that people want revenue sharing from the ASO. So, when it all adds up, one of the complaints is, we want you to share the TV money. We're providing the athletes. We should get some of the TV money. If I was the ASO, I'd be like, peace out, replacement players. There's Tim Hayes over there in Orlando, Florida, 35-plus guy. What an amazing story to race
but
tour.
eventually they're going to hurt their own product. I mean, obviously that's why it's a bluff, because they can't put
It's
3
a bluff
weeks.
from who?
It's from ASO. They can't
No.
put 3 weeks of Super Rookie Hayes out there and expect to get the same eyeballs that you would get if you've got a Rue, if
what
you've
if-
got
I think
Contador.
it could be a good story. Just the
Well, it could be
camera
a good
following me.
It could
for
be a good
5
story
hours
for
on a day.
5 minutes. Yeah,
Did he make it?
5 hours.
Did he make
Another
the time
day.
cut? Oh, no,
Is
he
he
didn't.
alive? No, nope. Everybody missed the time cut
Do you
the first
think-
day.
3K,
You think that-
3K
you think
prologue.
that-
He didn't make the time cut. That's tough.
You think the normal person walking down the street in the post-Lance era cares at all that Chris Froome is in the Tour?
Do you
Maybe
think-
in
let
the
me-
UK. In the UK, he might
No,
be popular.
I
Let
guess
me
what I'm
follow
saying,
up,
though, is-
Tim.
Yeah.
Let me follow up. Do you think the normal person walking down the street
knows
is
who Chris
going
Froome
to
is.
buy sheet metal from Lamprey over any other brand?
I don't think.
No, but they are going to
because
get a
they
quick
saw
step
what the
flooring for
Yeah.
their next house.
Here's the thing: is we're not talking about normal people. We're talking about cycling fans.
Right.
Yeah, so we're talking about cycling fans.
Yeah.
I don't believe for a second that people will still not watch the Tour de France without all of those Pro Tour teams, because you're still going to have Nibali showing up and you're still going to have Chris Froome, because Team Sky will find their way into that race.
Well, so you will, but so you've seen this stuff where like a large portion of the viewership of the tour, especially in France, is just housewives tuning in and like
from
retired
Morocco.
people looking for at scenery. You know,
Yeah.
it's not people actually
Chateaus.
watching bike racing, but the rest of the world and every other race that ASO owns, like nobody watches Paris-Nice for the beautiful footage of frozen farmlands.
So you
in
don't
France.
think that the ASO can create a narrative that makes the Paris-Nice race exciting? Like they could say like, hey, the top 10 people in here get an automatic entry into like Paris, like Tour of France or something. I think that there's a narrative here that they
not
can
if
create.
those guys are going to get bumped out of the
what
Olympics
guys?
potentially.
But that's
Let's be honest.
But that's
What-
already
seen
the
it before,
thing.
where
that's the
Wiggins-
narrative that already existed.
Wiggins and Cavendish both sat out of races because they thought they might not be able to go to the Olympics because of the same feud like a few years ago.
If it becomes Olympics and worlds, especially world championships, you're not going to get the top riders to show up to events eventually, because like if Nibali is like they say like if you do Paris-Nice, like you can't do the world championships
because of points?
No,
No.
like if they say like if the ASO or the UCI says like ASO, screw you, you can't do what you're doing. If the Olympic Committee or the
Yeah,
UCI
I
eventually at
think
some
that's
point
a year
says
or two
that
down the road. I don't think we're there yet. I'm saying,
Well,
let's say
it's
in a.
2016 is an
But
Olympic
you think
year.
that that's actually going to?
It's not down the road.
I don't think
It's
that that's
next
going to
year.
happen for a while. I don't think that I call that the nuclear option, where the IOC comes in and says, hey, if you do an ASO race, you are not allowed to race.
But
a UCI
if the
event.
UCI has
did
no
that.
option coming up soon, like I see that happening sooner. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to wait for this to go on. Like they're going to
No.
be like, we have to nip this in the bud. You make it so the best riders can't do those events. Riders who are like, maybe they're like, they don't see a world championship title in their like happening in the next 2 years, but they look down the road 2 or 3 years and they're like, there's a couple courses that suit me, and that's something I want to try for in my career. Like I'm not going to go do Paris-Nice and
when I
risk
could
never
just
being able
do-
to do a world championship.
Yeah, when I
Yeah,
could
but
just do
okay, it's-
Torino the same week, which is totally legit and just
Well,
as
the
hard
Tour.
of a race.
Tour's the juggernaut here.
Towards the juggernaut, but I mean, there's a lot of guys who just might be more realistic and like I can't.
So
Win the
your
Tour.
guys' prediction, with the just in clarity, is that we're going to get to this nuclear option where the IOC and the Olympic Committee starts to get involved in saying, if you do these ASO races that are not on the calendar, they're still being sanctioned by the UCI, by the way, right now. The races, they're just dropped down from the Pro Tour. It's going to take the UCI to say, hey, ASO, unless the Tour de France is at this level, we are not sanctioning it.
It doesn't make sense for it to not be at the highest level. I mean, then
Yeah.
you're throwing the entire system out of balance.
I still
Because
think ASO has the upper hand
If
on
you
this.
think the Tour de France is the greatest race and the biggest race and the biggest test, then why isn't it at the highest level of the sport?
Because I'm the organizer and I don't
So
want
they're-
to pay the extra money for that
Well,
that extra $50
so
a day.
they're
per
gonna-
month.
what happens though if the UCI is like, you know what, we're not going to sanction the Tour de France as a lower category race because it doesn't make sense. Like it's a higher category race.
Or they bump it down even further and you get an issue like the Tour of Gila did a few years ago when Lance and Radio Shack wanted to race it, and they said, no, you can only have 3 World Tour racers in this level of
That would be
race.
sweet.
That would
And
be
you
pretty
have to wear
awesome.
alternate kits. How
That-
screwed would all the sponsors be
Yeah,
then?
that would be funny.
Then Unibet shows back up like, hey guys, remember me for that one season where the ASO wouldn't let me
Does that
race?
website still exist?
I'm
Oh,
sure
I'm
it
sure.
does.
I'm gonna do that real quick. You guys just keep talking.
So, all right. I mean, I think this is a good discussion. I don't see the nuclear option coming anytime soon.
I see the
Um,
threats of it coming, and I see everybody falling back in line, and everything will keep going how it is. But
Without any real changes.
Hey, it still works, guys. You can still gamble there.
I think the biggest chance for reality is that they move the schedule around and they make the Giro the number one race.
Awesome.
It would be
Giro-
amazing.
Like if the Giro goes
Because
in
what they'll
July.
do, they won't
think of
even
the
look
snow-capped
at this.
mountains.
They'll-
Oh man, there wouldn't be.
They'll move the Giro to July, and then to replace the Giro, they don't put the Tour there. You know what they do? They use the Tour of California, which is also in May.
Oh my
Nah.
god!
Fourth Grand Tour.
You know what I would rather?
Guy, where's the bullets for your gun?
I would rather
that you don't own
the Tour of Poland or something moves up. You know?
Yeah,
Oh,
it could be any one
Here's the
of those World Tour races could take over potentially.
Mark this down.
Well, who? So like,
December 26, 2015. If the Tour of California is ever on the UCI Pro Tour calendar, I will quit bike racing for at least 6 months.
It's a great opportunity though for California or Poland or one of these smaller week-long races. Even like
Tour
you know
of
what will
Alberta?
happen? Azerbaijan is going to fucking throw it down.
And Chris
and
Horner's
like,
going to come out of retirement.
We're going to
be
one
like,
of the
"What
Grand
up?"
Tours.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Horner. You're going to make me cry.
But it's already in May. It's already been a
talk about Chris
commercial
Horner.
success. You know, it could be real, you guys. It could be real.
You think the Tour? Oh.
ASO doesn't own any of that stuff, do they? I
No.
know they were
Medalist
still
does.
thinking about
So
California.
does Tour Down Under, just a month away, elevated
Oh, my God.
in 2017 as like a pro, like the race of races. It's the new Paris.
You know,
6 months out.
That stupid race, that stupid Aussie race, they are such geniuses for being the first race on the calendar because they get, like 2 months of press about literally the most boring race on the calendar?
Yeah.
Like
That's
nobody, like a great race will happen in March and we'll have like a 2-3 day build up to it because something else happened. We have, like we're already getting teams announced.
Well, it's like the classic any first race of the season. For us here racing in Minnesota, it was Durand.
Yeah.
In Florida, it's like the DeLand road race where
That's
it's
next
the first,
week.
It's the first race on the calendar. So
Yeah.
people are like, everyone cares about that race. You get like 400 people showing up.
Yeah.
And then like 2 months later, the road season's over, and people are like, "Oh, it's done."
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously different in the Pro Tour because
Is
everyone
Tour de
shows up.
Langkawi still going on?
That does still happen. Yeah, I don't know when though.
Do you think Nature Valley Grand Prix will have a chance to step up to the Pro Tour level?
Hopefully, it can step up to just
Yeah.
I mean,
hosting
whatever
a
it
women's
was
race.
like 2 years ago, where it had a women's race and it had a full.
So
Yeah.
the big one would
teams.
be that the Strada Bianca
Yeah,
would become now a mega classic that it deserves to be, right? Because
Right.
this gets back to Spencer's point earlier
Yeah.
that now we have races that can actually become these classics that maybe replace like a Flesh Wallone.
But
Like
the-
people really care about Flesh Wallone.
but the thing about Strada Bianca though, I don't think is a good illustration of that, just because it was already at that level basically. Like it's not a classic,
It
and
will
it
be
wasn't in
soon.
the Pro Tour, but like the way it had been progressing over the last few years, like Stybar won it last year, right?
Yeah.
Who won it the year before? Like Fabian.
Fabian, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's. You go down the list of guys who won that race,
Yeah.
other than the Glinsky brother.
But
it's solid.
But it doesn't
good.
get the same press, you know what I mean? And
But it's-
if it
but
all of a
it's-
sudden had the backing
It's so close. I'm
that
just
they
saying
made
that
it
it's
a
a natural
monument.
progression. No, but it's having a natural progression toward that. Whereas like everything else the UCI has done has been sort of this ham-fisted,
Yeah.
like Tour Beijing, you have to do it. It's in the
Yeah.
Pro Tour, and then you've got something like Strada Bianca, which like obviously the riders
They
want
like
to win
it.
that.
Yeah.
They like it, they enjoy it, and obviously like the classics riders are putting stock into it because you wouldn't have a list of winners like that unless guys like the bragging rights are there. Like that race actually just has like bragging rights in a way
Yeah.
that these other races don't. Like
And
like
it-
in the way that like if you won Durand locally in Minnesota, you fucking won Durand.
So
man.
do you think that do you guys find yourself going into this season?
Yeah, my form's not too good right now.
Do you find yourself going into this season
Bike's good,
more
though.
excited for racing? That like I honestly feel this
No,
would be
I'm
our
dreading this.
This would be our second or third year of doing this podcast during the race season, basically coming up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am more excited for this UCI calendar. Maybe it's because I'm older now and I'm not working at a bike shop on Saturdays. Like I have more time to watch, but I'm like getting pretty amped about like today. I found myself Googling Trobro Leon to see when that race is.
Yeah.
Like just like okay, so I know like, and I got to find some kind of pirate feed.
Yeah.
And
Or
there's
maybe in a
another race
perfect
that could
world-
step itself up and become
Yeah.
a new Paris
Like, oh,
Roubaix.
I'm
But
just
maybe-
sitting like I'm sitting here like in a perfect world. Like Sarah and I are going to Europe in June,
Yeah.
and like right away, what am I doing? I'm looking to see what races are on the UCI calendar. Like even if it's Tour de Serbia, or it could be a race in Portugal, because I don't know where we're going to go yet, but we've
Yeah.
allocated the money, and of course it's during the Criterium Daphne where I'll be. So I'm like, oh man, but they don't release that schedule till like 2 months before the race starts.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, like that would be maybe cool to go see. But that's an ASO race.
It's an ASO race.
Yeah, you're going to
I'm
watch a
sorta
bunch of
dreading-
shitty Cat 1 French dudes ride around.
Yeah. I'm just dreading it's going to be sort of a disaster this year, and it's just going to be, we're not going to see good riders at good races. We're going to see guys
So do you think
planning for things and getting thrown out in the last couple of days.
Another piece of news that had come up recently was that NBC Sports Network made a big agreement with ASO to now broadcast the España, the Vuelta, and the Tour de France and some other races through 2019. So, once again, we have NBC Sports Network buying up the rights. Who knows where they're going to show it? It sounds like that they're probably going to start investing more money into just doing on-demand coverage, so you can just buy the service.
Yeah.
So you buy the Vuelta for like $20, or hopefully maybe they do a year-long subscription package.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool that the Vuelta is back on TV.
Yeah, if it's good coverage, I'll be exciting. I've been hurt by NBC Sports too many times.
What coverage do you think is bad? Like the commentators?
Well, the commentator's not good, but the worst thing for me with them is that they show everything on either like a 10-minute delay or like a 2-hour delay. Like the number of times
even on the live tour tracker app.
Well, so let's say like Paris-Roubaix as an example, it was on TV this year. They had like 2 hours of coverage, right? But it came on after the race ended.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so it was on here in Minnesota. It was on at like 10:30 or something. But it was like, why would I watch that? Why wouldn't I just find a pirate feed and watch pirate feed, and then go out for a bike ride? It's like, it just doesn't feel like they have any clue on who their audience is.
Yeah, they haven't done a lot of marketing research.
They've done like zero marketing research, and like they must know that if you're into a race like this, you wait all year for this race. You are not going to sequester yourself for 2 hours while the race is happening, not look at your phone, not do anything on the internet, not answer any phone calls from any of your friends, because you're going to get to watch a slightly edited version of a race you could have just watched live with your buddies.
So Spencer, I'll ask you a question here. Would you pay any money to watch Paris-Roubaix live? Like on a TV, not like a pirate internet feed. Like how much would you spend to watch that race live in its entirety?
I wouldn't.
HD?
Yeah, I do. I get the pirate feed and I run it through the Apple TV and it shows up on my TV just fine. So I watch it on the big screen as live.
So there's no money.
As long as there's pirate feeds, man, I'm not paying anything.
Here's what I pay for. Like, when we watch pirate feeds cross races, you get like Sporza races, and then you get the Veer or whatever, the VIER or whatever network. They have like, it's like beautiful. Like they seem to have like the most like amazing cameras or something. Like it's always just like so crystal clear. And like if that's what NBC can bring, is like you get full coverage and you get like a good picture. Like I'd be willing to pay something for it, because sometimes you get your pirate feed. It's choppy.
I'm willing to
cuts out. It looks like crap.
I would pay like a subscription service of like $10 a month if it wasn't cycling.tv.
Oh my gosh.
For that kind of coverage, right?
No way.
I think I would pay, but this gets into the next question that I had. How much longer do you think that Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwin will be around?
I don't think much longer.
Like, and I don't mean like they're gonna die, but like at some point.
No, I thought we were talking about.
Like I had to think, like, how much longer do you think till they like are forced to retire? Because
I can't pick them in your death pool.
It has to be hurting.
Can't. Okay.
No.
Damn. I think they are a liability at this point. I think they need fresh blood.
Yeah.
But again, see, that would take NBC Sports to like do a little market research.
But they've got good guys. Like the guy that does the coverage at the Tour of California with Tim Johnson, I thought was pretty fantastic.
And hopefully they bring a guy like Tim Johnson in. Like I would be really excited to watch Paris-Roubaix and have a guy like Tim Johnson.
What about Al Trautwig and Tim Johnson?
I'll take it.
All right.
This is the deal. You're like. But no, like, I mean,
I think Tim Johnson would be fantastic, or a guy. I think that he's definitely the most skilled.
Well, that NBC wants American racers. At this point, there's enough.
It's going to be Van de Velde something.
Well, there's enough American racers who've retired in the last few years that are articulate enough that and enough people like have some amount of respect for them, that we can put them in that position and everyone will be mad about it.
So Van de Velde would be obviously the
I can see Van de Velde as definitely a guy.
Do you think Bob Moll has any chance to be? You think he'll always be the studio guy?
I think he's just he's always going to be the color commentator.
Yeah. I want all three. I want the Phil and Paul and Bob role. I want them all out. They gotta go. They've had their time in the sun. We're beyond that. let's move on. Let's get Frankie Andreu in there. Let's get Van de Velde in there even. Like, let's get Tim Johnson in there. Let's get anybody, really.
What about Craig Hummer? Is he still around?
He was all right.
I don't know if he's still around.
He's a studio guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't handle Phil and Paul anymore.
I just want Sean Kelly, man.
They've always been bad.
What about getting the guy from Eurosport? Like, the guy from Eurosport, there's no reason why he couldn't do the American. And here's the thing, like, they make it like soccer broadcasting, where they just get a guy with an accent to do the play-by-play.
Oh, and it sounds way more cultured.
Sounds cooler. Like have a Belgian guy. Like,
yeah. Well, the problem is that they only show one bike race on the TV in the U.S. every year, so nobody's going to come over from Eurosport.
From NBC, no, but I mean, from NBC's perspective, like, why don't they they buy the rights in the U.S., like, why spend any money doing anything? Why not just call Eurosport and be like, hey, look, we don't want to spend really that much money. Like, we're going to kick you a couple million, and we just steal your feed and we steal your commentators, and all they have to do is do a couple plugs for Nissans.
Wait.
You know?
Whoa,
not
guys,
instead of Nissans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, where is the gun, little guy? Because I want to shoot myself for not realizing the solution has been in front of us this entire time.
Oh, it's us.
After 87 episodes of broadcasting, I do believe we have what it takes to properly broadcast the Tour de France.
87 and a half, Tim.
You know what we should do sometime?
Do a live
We should do a live broadcast where we do a broadcast while we watch a race. We could even just do it and record it ourselves and listen back and see how terrible we are. But it'd be funny to see how terrible we are.
I think we might do a bonus episode sometime of that. We'll just pick a stage of like a tour stage that's already happened that none of us really know, like just a random one. And we'll try to commentate on it, like from an era of cyclists that we know, from 2010, 2011, 2012, something.
Oh, that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun.
We'll print out the start list. We'll know who's in the race. We need our fact sheets.
Yeah, we need our fact sheets. Oh, man. I'm going to be going, News Desk! 53! Who's 53?
All right.
This could be
guys, this could be good. And we'd like to thank everybody for listening to the Slow Ride podcast. 87 and a half episodes in. It's a Christmas miracle that we got this episode recorded, hopefully.
Uh-huh.
And we encourage everyone to tweet us at the Slow Ride Pod. Send us emails at the slowridepodcast@gmail.com. You can leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher like Psycho Cow did most recently, and it was very simple. It said, nice, 5 stars. I get good sensations when listening to this.
Ooh, nice. But is the bike good when they listen to it?
Is he tranquilo?
Is he tranquilo?
Wow, I don't know. I got to ask that on the next podcast. Send us an email, Psycho Cow.
Yeah.
And more importantly, we'd like to thank BK1 of Rhyme Stars Entertainment for our intro and outro music. And we'd like to thank each and every one of you listeners out there. What's funny, guys? Did I mess up?
Nope.
Tim.
Keep going. You're doing really well.
What should you do, Tim, if you and little guy go out on a training ride this afternoon and you pass a group of spandex-wearing ass clowns out there on the road in December enjoying this warm weather and 2 inches of snow you guys have on fat bikes?
I want you to raise up that mitted hand, that chopper hand, and I want you to wave.
Yep.
Not a princess wave. We're talking full-on clown wave.
full on big wave. If we do go out later, we're going to probably just be driving to the ping pong bar, and we'll probably just yell, "Get off the road!"
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out of the way, Lance.
And with that, we'd like to thank all of you Lance Armstrong wannabes for listening to the Slow Ride podcast.
Get a job. Get out of the way, Lance.
Pay your road tax.
Pay your road tax.
Guys, we've been looking for 87 and a half episodes for our sign-off.
Pay your
quote.
road tax.
I think we found it. No, it's just like our sign-off should always just be like...
Get in the bike lane.
Don't forget, pay your road tax.
Yeah, that's true. Get in the bike lane.
Hey, don't forget to wave at your fellow spandex clown suit wearing nerds. And with that, get off the roadway.
Get in the bike lane.
Pay your road taxes.
Get a job.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.